For thousands of years, every child in the galaxy heard the same story before going to sleep. It was the story of humans. Parents told it with quiet voices. Teachers smiled whenever students asked about it. Historians called it nothing more than an old myth. Military officers laughed whenever the name humanity appeared in forgotten books. They never existed. That was the answer everyone accepted. According to the Galactic Archive, humans were only imaginary creatures created by ancient civilizations. Some stories describe them as fearless warriors who never surrendered. Others claimed they built impossible warships that could destroy entire fleets without firing a second shot. No one believed any of it. The galaxy had grown old. Thousands of powerful empires ruled millions of star systems. New technology appeared every year. Every mystery had an explanation. Or so everyone believed. Far beyond the busy trade routes, beyond the colonies and mining stations, there was a place known as the Silent Grave. No ship willingly entered that region. The stars inside the Silent Grave looked different. Strange storms covered the empty space between worlds. Navigation systems failed without warning. Hundreds of exploration fleets had disappeared there over the last 3,000 years. No wreckage was ever found. No distress signal was ever received. Only silence returned. Because of that, the Galactic Council marked the entire region as forbidden. Even pirates avoided it. On one quiet day, everything changed. Station Echo 19 floated alone near the edge of the Silent Grave. It was a small observation station with only 40 crew members. Their job was simple. Report. Survive. Nothing interesting had happened there for nearly 200 years. Most officers spent their shifts drinking coffee, checking sensors, and waiting for retirement. Senior Scanner Officer Ryland stared at the main display while another peaceful shift slowly passed. The stars remained still. The sensors remained quiet. Until suddenly, a soft warning sound echoed across the control room. Beep, beep, beep. Ryland looked up. One small red light blinked on the scanner. He frowned. Probably another sensor error, he muttered. The Silent Grave often confused old equipment. He reset the system. The warning disappeared. 3 seconds later, the alarm returned. This time it was louder. The computer displayed one simple message. Unknown mass detected. Ryland sat upright. Run another scan. The station's artificial intelligence immediately obeyed. The powerful scanners reached deep into the black clouds surrounding the Silent Grave. For several long seconds, nothing happened. Then the entire screen froze. Every sensor stopped moving. The room became silent. Crew members looked at one another with confused faces. Finally, the system restarted. A single object appeared. Everyone stared. It was enormous. At first it looked like an asteroid. Its surface was dark and covered with centuries of dust. No engine heat. No communication signal. No movement. Lieutenant Senna folded her arms. Just another rock. Ryland wasn't convinced. Increase image resolution. The computer slowly cleaned the blurry picture. More details appeared. Straight lines. Metal surfaces. Armor plates. Windows. The room suddenly became quiet. It can't be. Someone whispered. The asteroid wasn't an asteroid at all. It was a ship. A giant ship. Larger than anything anyone had ever recorded. Even the biggest modern battleships looked tiny beside it. Its hull stretched for kilometers through empty space. Deep scars covered its armor. Huge weapon batteries rested silently along both sides. Many were broken. Others still pointed toward the stars as if waiting for an enemy that had disappeared thousands of years ago. The ship looked ancient. Older than every known civilization. Older than recorded history itself. Lieutenant Senna quickly contacted the station commander. Sir, you need to see this. Commander Velis entered the control room only moments later. One look at the screen erased the calm expression from his face. What are we looking at? No idea, sir. Can we identify it? The computer answered before anyone else could. Database match failed. No records. No manufacturer. No civilization. Nothing. Commander Velis narrowed his eyes. Move closer. Everyone turned toward him. Sir? I said move closer. The station carefully adjusted its position. Slowly, carefully, the mysterious ship remained completely still. No engines. No lights. No response. As the distance closed, the cameras captured even more details. Massive hangar doors. Destroyed defense cannons. Burn marks across the hull. The ship had survived an enormous battle long ago. Yet somehow, it was still intact. Then Rylan noticed something strange. There. He pointed toward the front section. Half of an old symbol remained visible beneath layers of dust. The cameras zoomed in. Crew members leaned closer. No one recognized it. It looked like a blue circle with white shapes across it. Commander Velis frowned. Search every historical database. The station computer searched millions of records. Ancient languages. Lost civilizations. Museum archives. Military history. Nothing. Then suddenly, one forgotten archive responded. The symbol belonged to a world called. The room fell silent. Lieutenant Senna slowly shook her head. That's impossible. Commander Velis looked confused. Earth. Rylan swallowed. I've heard that name before. Where? In children's stories. Nobody laughed. Everyone remembered those stories. Humans. Legends. Impossible heroes. Impossible ships. Commander Velis immediately contacted Galactic Command. This is Observation Station Echo 19. We have discovered an unidentified vessel. We believe it may be connected to ancient human mythology. Several seconds of silence answered him. Then laughter came through the speakers. Very funny, Commander. This is not a joke. Another officer spoke. Humans never existed. Commander Velis looked back at the giant vessel outside the window. Then explain what I'm looking at. Static filled every speaker before a single message finally broke through. The language was old. Older than every translator. The station's computers worked desperately to decode it. Word by word. Sentence by sentence. Finally, the translation appeared on every screen. This is human Warship Valiant. Every person inside the station stopped breathing. The voice continued. Returning home. Across the galaxy, emergency networks awakened. Military fleets changed course. The Galactic Council called an immediate emergency meeting. And for the very first time in 8,000 years, the greatest myth in galactic history had just spoken. The message spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. This is human Warship Valiant, returning home. For several long seconds, nobody spoke. Inside Observation Station Echo 19, every officer stared at the giant ship outside the window. The ancient vessel floated silently again, but now thousands of blue lights glowed beneath its dark armor. It no longer looked like a dead relic. It looked alive. Commander Velis slowly sat down in his chair. No myth sends a transmission, he whispered. Lieutenant Senna looked at the scanner. The engines are stable. No weapons active. No shields. It is just waiting. Across the galaxy, emergency broadcasts interrupted every news network. Every screen displayed the same image. The enormous ancient warship drifting near the silent grave. People gathered inside homes, restaurants, schools, and military bases. Children pointed at the screen. Parents looked frightened. Old veterans remained silent. For the first time in thousands of years, the word human was no longer part of a bedtime story. Far away, inside the shining capital of the Galactic Union, thousands of leaders rushed toward the council hall. The emergency meeting had already begun. The circular chamber was filled with representatives from hundreds of civilizations. Some believed the discovery was a trick. Others believed it was an abandoned museum ship. A few quietly feared something much worse. High Chancellor Marix stood in the center of the room. The emergency session is now active. A giant hologram appeared above the chamber. The image of the Valiant slowly rotated. Gasps echoed through the hall. Its size alone shocked everyone. One admiral broke the silence. It cannot be real. Another commander nodded. It is only an automated wreck. An elderly historian slowly stood. His hand shook. I disagree. The chamber became quiet. My name is Professor Elian. I have spent 300 years studying forbidden records. I believe this ship is exactly what it claims to be. Several council members laughed. One senator smiled. You still believe in fairy tales? Professor Elian ignored him. The oldest records mention one human flagship. It disappeared during the final Void War. Its name was... He looked toward the hologram. Valiant. The laughter stopped. Deep inside the Galactic Archive, a young researcher named Lyra watched the meeting from her office. Unlike most historians, she never believed every official record. Too many ancient files had missing pages. Too many civilizations had erased parts of their own history. Something had always felt wrong. When she heard the name Valiant, she immediately searched the oldest restricted database. Access denied. She tried another archive. Access denied. Another. Denied. Someone had hidden everything connected to humanity. That alone frightened her. If humans were only a myth, she whispered, why erase them? She quietly copied several forgotten records before the security system noticed. One old file contained only 4 words. Never wake the giants. No author. No date. Nothing else. Lyra felt cold. Meanwhile, the council reached its decision. High Chancellor Merrick's addressed the chamber. We cannot allow an unidentified military vessel to remain near Union territory. We will send an inspection fleet. Admiral Corvin immediately volunteered. My fleet will secure the ship. He smiled confidently. It is thousands of years old. If anyone is still inside, they will surrender immediately. Several admirals agreed. Within 1 hour, 12 modern battleships entered hyperspace. Their destination? The Silent Grave. Observation Station Echo 19 detected them first. Commander Velis contacted Admiral Corvin. Admiral, be careful. We still know nothing about this vessel. Corvin laughed. It is one ship. I brought 12. Our newest battleships are stronger than anything built in ancient history. Velis wasn't convinced. Just don't underestimate it. The transmission ended. Hours later, Admiral Corvin's fleet exited hyperspace. The stars became visible again. Then every bridge officer froze. The Valiant was even larger than expected. One captain quietly said, "It looks like a moving city." Corvin stood proudly. Open communications. A signal reached the ancient ship. This is Admiral Corvin of the Galactic Union. Identify yourselves. Silence. Again he transmitted. No response. One officer smiled. I told you. Empty. Corvin nodded. Launch boarding drones. Hundreds of small drones flew toward the ancient warship. Halfway there, every drone suddenly stopped. Not exploded. Not damaged. Simply frozen. Their engines shut down at exactly the same moment. Every screen aboard the Union fleet flashed white. Then black. Navigation disappeared. Weapons went offline. Communications failed. Bridge officers looked around in panic. What happened? Our systems aren't responding. No enemy attack detected. Power levels normal. Then why can't we control anything? A calm voice answered them. Not through speakers. Not through radios. It came directly through every ship's computer. Ancient. Permission to board denied. Every officer stared at their displays. The voice continued. Please maintain a safe distance. Then every system instantly returned to normal. Weapons. Engines. Navigation. Everything worked again. Admiral Corvin felt sweat forming on his forehead. No modern technology could hack 12 military battleships in less than 1 second. Yet the Valiant had done exactly that. Without firing a single weapon. Inside the ancient ship, dim lights illuminated endless metal corridors. Dust covered the walls. Old banners still hung beside heavy blast doors. Thousands of rooms remained empty. The silence felt peaceful instead of lonely. Deep below the command deck, A circular chamber slowly opened. Cold white mist escaped into the room. A single cryogenic pod unlocked after sleeping for thousands of years. Its glass cover lifted. A man slowly opened his eyes. For several moments he simply breathed. The world around him looked unfamiliar. He sat up. Gray hair rested above calm blue eyes. His face carried deep lines earned through years of command. A computer voice echoed gently through the chamber. "Good morning, Captain." The man closed his eyes. "Status report. Mission duration." The computer paused. 8,112 years. The captain remained silent. Even he had not expected to sleep that long. "Survivors." The answer came almost immediately. "Crew status. Deceased. Population aboard. 1. Silence filled the chamber. The captain lowered his head. Every friend, every officer, every family that had once filled the Valiant. Gone. Only one human remained alive. The last captain. He slowly stood and walked toward the bridge. Outside the enormous front window, unfamiliar stars stretched across space. Nothing looked the same. The galaxy had changed. The captain placed one hand on the command console. "Computer, where is Earth?" For the first time since waking, the ancient artificial intelligence hesitated. Searching. Several seconds passed. Finally, a quiet answer appeared. "Earth location, unknown." The captain stared into the darkness beyond the stars. His expression never changed. But his next words carried a quiet determination. "Then we begin searching." As the Valiant's engines glowed brighter, a faint signal suddenly appeared on the long-range scanners. An impossibly old human emergency beacon, still transmitting from somewhere deep beyond explored space. The captain looked at the coordinates and whispered only one sentence. "Someone is still waiting." The ancient emergency beacon continued repeating the same signal. Every 30 seconds. The transmission was weak, broken, and buried beneath thousands of years of background noise. Modern scanners would never have noticed it. Only the Valiant's ancient systems recognized the old human frequency. Captain Adrian Hale stood silently on the bridge. The enormous room was almost empty. Thousands of command stations surrounded him, but only one chair was occupied. The bridge had once been full of officers giving reports, pilots checking flight paths, engineers discussing power levels, and soldiers preparing for battle. Now only the ship's artificial intelligence answered him. The silence felt heavier than the armor surrounding the vessel. "Computer," Hale said calmly. "Source of the signal?" The glowing hologram appeared above the command console. "Signal originates from Sector 912. Hale studied the map. His expression changed for the first time. "Impossible." The computer answered. "Reason? That sector was destroyed before the final Void War. According to every memory he carried, nothing should still exist there. Yet someone, or something, was still calling." Far away, Admiral Corvin's fleet continued following the Valiant from a safe distance. No one dared approach again. The mysterious human ship had already proven it could disable an entire fleet without firing a weapon. Fear slowly replaced confidence. Inside the flagship, officers whispered among themselves. "Do you think there are thousands of humans aboard?" "I don't know." "What if they attack?" "What if they already decided not to?" Those words frightened everyone even more. Meanwhile, inside the galactic archive, Lyra ignored every warning flashing across her computer. She had broken into another classified database. Ancient files slowly appeared. Most were damaged. Many had been erased. Someone had worked very hard to remove humanity from history. One recording finally opened. The image was old and filled with static. An alien officer wearing an ancient military uniform looked directly into the camera. His voice shook. "If anyone finds this..." Static interrupted him. "The official history is false." The picture flickered again. "Humans did not betray us. They saved us." Lyra leaned closer. "What?" The officer continued. "We blamed them because we feared them. They sacrificed everything." The recording suddenly ended. Another message appeared. "File permanently deleted." Lyra stared at the screen. Someone had erased the truth thousands of years ago. Inside the Galactic Council, another emergency meeting began. High Chancellor Merrick's looked exhausted. Every military commander had delivered the same report. The human ship had shown unbelievable power. Without violence. Without threats. Without chasing anyone. General Sorek crossed his arms. We should destroy it before more appear. Professor Elian immediately stood. You still don't understand. The general frowned. Understand what? If one ship survived. The old historian paused. Then humanity may not be extinct. Silence spread across the chamber. That possibility had never entered anyone's mind. At that same moment, the Valiant entered hyperspace. Its engines produced no bright explosion. No violent energy wave. The giant ship simply disappeared. Admiral Corvin's fleet immediately followed. Modern hyperspace drives struggled to keep pace. The ancient human vessel was somehow faster despite being thousands of years older. Bridge officers exchanged worried looks. Our newest technology is slower. Hours later, the Valiant arrived at Sector 912. Every scanner immediately detected something strange. The system should have been empty. Instead, a single planet slowly rotated around a dying red star. Captain Hale looked confused. This world wasn't here. The computer confirmed his memory. Historical records agree. The planet should not exist. Yet there it was. Gray clouds covered its surface. No cities. No oceans. No visible life. Only endless rock. Then another signal appeared. Stronger this time. The emergency beacon was coming from beneath the planet's surface. Captain Hale quietly smiled. They survived. The Valiant slowly entered orbit. Thousands of hidden scanners examined every kilometer below. The results surprised even the ancient computer. Underground structures detected. Depth: 23 kilometers. Population: the answer took several seconds. Finally, unknown. Hale looked through the massive bridge window. They're hiding. Suddenly, warning alarms echoed across the bridge. Captain! Multiple ships approaching. Hale turned toward the tactical display. More than 60 Galactic Union warships exited hyperspace around the planet. This time they had brought an entire battle group. Admiral Corvin appeared on the main screen. His face looked serious. Captain! You are entering restricted space. Hale remained calm. This world belongs to humanity. Corvin frowned. There are no humans. There are now. The transmission ended. General Sorek had secretly joined the fleet. Unlike Corvin, he believed force solved every problem. He gave the order before anyone could stop him. Deploy assault fighters. Hundreds of attack craft rushed toward the Valiant. Inside Corvin's flagship, officers looked horrified. Sir! The captain never authorized this. Corvin slammed his hand against the command console. Recall them. Too late. The fighters continued forward. Captain Hale watched them approach. He didn't activate weapons. Instead, he quietly spoke one sentence. Defense Protocol 7. Deep inside the ancient ship, something awakened. Thousands of tiny blue lights spread across the hull. The attacking pilot smiled. No shields. No weapons. Easy target. Then space itself changed. Invisible waves expanded around the Valiant. Every fighter instantly stopped. Not because of damage. Not because of engine failure. Space around them had frozen. The ships floated in place like insects trapped inside clear glass. Pilots desperately pulled their controls. Nothing moved. General Sorek stared in disbelief. What weapon is that? No one answered. Captain Hale calmly transmitted one message. I warned you. Please do not force me to demonstrate real weapons. 1 second later, the invisible field disappeared. Every fighter regained control. Not one had been damaged. Not one pilot had died. The message was clear. Humanity possessed overwhelming strength, yet refused unnecessary violence. Before anyone could speak again, the dead planet suddenly shook. Massive cracks spread across its surface. Entire mountains began collapsing inward. Admiral Corvin's scanners screamed with warnings. Energy surge detected. It isn't coming from the Valiant. Everyone looked toward the planet. Ancient doors, each larger than a modern city, slowly opened beneath the stone. Blue lights emerged from the darkness. Then gigantic structures rose toward the surface. At first, the officers believed they were buildings. Then the truth became clear. They were ships. Dozens of enormous human warships had been sleeping beneath the planet for thousands of years. Dust rolled across the surface as the first colossal vessel climbed into orbit. Then another. And another. The silent graveyard of history was becoming a living fleet. Captain Hale whispered quietly as tears formed in his eyes. "You kept the promise." The ship's AI answered softly. "Captain, Human Fleet Sanctuary 9 has recognized your command authorization." "Current status." The computer paused, then delivered the words that changed everything. 37 human warships are now awaiting your orders." Every alien fleet around the planet fell completely silent. The galaxy had feared one ancient human warship. Now they faced an entire hidden fleet that history had forgotten. For several long minutes, nobody moved. 37 ancient human warships floated above the gray planet like sleeping giants that had finally opened their eyes. Each vessel was different. Some carried enormous rail cannons that stretched across half their hulls. Others were covered with hundreds of missile ports hidden beneath heavy armor. Several ships were so large that modern scanners could not measure their complete size. Soft blue lights slowly traveled across every hull. The fleet looked peaceful. But everyone watching understood one thing. If these ships wanted war, no fleet in the galaxy could stop them. Inside Admiral Corvin's flagship, absolute silence filled the bridge. No officer dared touch their controls. One young navigator finally whispered, "Sir, what do we do now?" Corvin never looked away from the display. "We wait." General Sorek slammed his fist onto the command table. "We attack before more appear." Several officers immediately shook their heads. One captain answered carefully, "General, 37 ships disabled our confidence without firing a single shot. If they decide to fight..." He couldn't finish the sentence. Nobody wanted to imagine the outcome. On the bridge of the Valiant, Captain Adrian Hale stood before the wide observation window. The ancient fleet waited for his command. Yet he remained silent. The ship's AI spoke softly. "Captain, Fleet Sanctuary 9 requests operational orders." Hale looked at the floating warships. "They've waited over 8,000 years. They deserve better than another war." The AI answered, "Agreed." For the first time since waking, Hale smiled. "Let's hope the galaxy agrees." Far away, inside the Galactic Council chamber, panic spread through every level of government. Emergency meetings replaced every scheduled event. Trade routes closed. Civilian transports changed course. Military stations entered maximum alert. The news networks repeated the same image. 37 human warships. Waiting. Nobody knew what humanity wanted. Some citizens feared invasion. Others believed judgment had finally arrived. Across hundreds of worlds, old legends suddenly returned. Stories grandparents once whispered were now leading every news broadcast. Inside the Galactic Archive, Lyra continued searching forbidden records. Another damaged file slowly opened. Unlike the previous recordings, this one showed a beautiful blue planet. Children played beneath green trees. Families laughed together. Ships crossed the sky peacefully. A calm female narrator began speaking. "If you are watching this, then history has already failed." Lyra leaned closer. The woman continued, "Our people never wished to rule the galaxy. We explored. We helped. We protected." The recording changed. Cities burned. Alien fleets filled the sky. Human soldiers evacuated civilians from dozens of different species. The narrator's voice became quieter. When the void appeared, no one believed the danger. So humanity stood alone. The recording suddenly ended. Lyra sat frozen. The official history had claimed humans started the ancient war. The truth showed the exact opposite. Someone had rewritten everything. Before Lyra could continue searching, every computer inside the archive suddenly flashed red. An emergency warning appeared. Unknown object detected. She hurried toward the observation window. Thousands of people gathered outside. Everyone looked upward. A single black object slowly entered orbit around the capital world. It wasn't human. Its shape looked completely different. No visible engines. No lights. No markings. Only darkness. At the same moment, alarms echoed across every human ship. Captain Hale looked toward the tactical display. His calm expression disappeared. The AI immediately recognized the object. Identification confirmed. Hale spoke quietly. "I was afraid of this." The AI answered. "Captain, they found us." Admiral Corvin looked confused. "What is that ship?" Captain Hale opened a secure communication channel. His face appeared on every military flagship. "This conversation is no longer optional." Corvin nodded. "We're listening." Hale took a slow breath. 8,000 years ago, the galaxy did not fight humanity. We fought something else. The black object continued drifting through space. No weapons. No movement. Only silence. General Sorek interrupted. "You're avoiding the question." Hale pointed toward the mysterious ship. "That is the enemy." Nobody understood. The black vessel was much smaller than the human warships. It looked harmless. Several commanders laughed nervously. "One ship." Captain Hale shook his head. "No. One scout." The laughter stopped immediately. The AI projected an ancient battle recording into every bridge. Entire galaxies burned. Stars exploded. Thousands of civilizations disappeared. At the center of every battlefield, the same black ships. Different sizes. Different designs. Always silent. Always advancing. Captain Hale began explaining. "They have no empire. No government. No diplomacy. They consume knowledge. They erase civilizations. They leave empty worlds behind." Admiral Corvin stared at the recording. "And humanity stopped them?" "For a while." Before another question could be asked, the Black Scout suddenly transmitted. Not words. A signal. Every computer across nearby fleets froze. Screens turned black. Artificial intelligences shut down. Navigation disappeared. Even human systems slowed slightly. The AI aboard the Valiant immediately isolated the signal. "Captain, it's searching." "For what?" The AI answered. "Human survivors." Hale closed his eyes. "So." It finally returned. Without warning, the Black Scout accelerated. Not toward the human fleet. Toward the planet below. Its speed shocked everyone. No engine flames. No energy trail. It simply crossed thousands of kilometers almost instantly. Captain Hale shouted his first order since awakening. "Fleet! Intercept immediately!" 37 human warships moved together. The sight left every alien speechless. There were no shouted commands. No confusion. Every vessel responded perfectly. Ancient engines illuminated the darkness. Massive ships formed defensive positions around the planet in seconds. Their movements looked almost graceful, like they had practiced the same battle thousands of times. The Black Scout stopped only a few hundred kilometers from the surface. But something impossible happened. Its hull slowly opened. Dark mist poured into space. The scanners struggled to identify it. It isn't gas. It isn't energy. It isn't matter. No database contained anything similar. Captain Hale whispered one terrible sentence. "It's beginning." The dark cloud spread across space. Wherever it passed, communication satellites stopped working. Mining stations lost power. Several unmanned drones simply vanished from every scanner. Not destroyed. Gone. As if they had never existed. Fear spread across every fleet. General Sorek quietly asked, "What is that thing?" Captain Hale answered without looking away. "The reason humanity became a myth." The Valiant's AI suddenly interrupted. "Captain, Long-range scanners have detected additional contacts. Number. The AI remained silent for nearly 3 seconds. When it finally answered, every person listening felt their hearts sink. Estimated enemy vessels. The hologram expanded across the bridge. Tiny red lights filled the outer edge of the star map. 1,000, and still increasing. Captain Hale stared into the growing darkness beyond the stars. He realized the lonely Black Scout had never come to fight. It had come to announce that the ancient enemy had finally found humanity again. The star map remained covered in red lights. 1,000 enemy ships. Then 1,050. Then 1,200. The number continued climbing. No one inside the Galactic Union fleet said a word. Even General Sarek, who had demanded an attack only hours earlier, stared at the display in complete silence. Captain Adrian Hale stood on the bridge of the Valiant, his hands resting calmly behind his back. His face showed no panic, only determination. The ship's AI spoke in its steady voice. Captain, the enemy advance matches historical invasion pattern. Hale nodded slowly. They never change. Outside the enormous bridge window, the 37 ancient human warships formed a protective wall around the gray planet. Their blue engines glowed brightly against the darkness. The alien fleets remained behind them. For the first time in recorded history, the galaxy stood behind humanity instead of in front of it. Admiral Corvin opened a secure communication channel. His image appeared before Captain Hale. I need the truth. Hale looked directly at him. You deserve it. Corvin took a deep breath. What exactly are those things? Hale remained silent for several seconds. Then he answered. They are called the Null. The name wasn't chosen because they destroy worlds. It was chosen because they erase everything. Corvin frowned. Everything. They erase history. They erase memories. They erase civilizations until it becomes impossible to prove they ever existed. The words chilled everyone listening. Lyra, who had secretly joined the communication through the Galactic Archive, suddenly understood. She whispered to herself, that's why humanity became a myth. Captain Hale heard her. Yes. The Null could not defeat humanity in battle. So they chose another weapon. They erased us. A hologram appeared above the bridge. Ancient recordings began playing. Thousands of years earlier, beautiful human cities stood beside alien capitals. Humans traded with hundreds of species. Scientists worked together. Children from different worlds played in the same parks. Humanity had not ruled the galaxy. It had connected it. Then the images changed. Black ships appeared without warning. Entire colonies vanished overnight. Libraries became empty buildings. Digital records disappeared. People forgot their own neighbors. The Null did not simply destroy. They removed existence itself. Captain Hale quietly explained. If enough people forget someone, they disappear from history. Professor Elian stared at the recording. So humanity wasn't forgotten by accident. No, we were erased. The old historian slowly stood inside the council chamber. His voice echoed through every screen connected to the emergency broadcast. For 8,000 years, we taught children that humans were imaginary. We laughed at every legend. We destroyed the truth ourselves. No one argued, because everyone now understood. The lies had never been written by ordinary people. The lies had been planted by the enemy. Suddenly another alarm sounded aboard the Valiant. The AI reported, enemy scout changing behavior. Everyone looked toward the tactical display. The lone black ship had stopped moving. Its surface slowly unfolded like a flower opening. Inside, a glowing sphere appeared. Captain Hale's eyes widened. No. The AI immediately answered. Confirmed. Memory pulse charging. Admiral Corvin looked confused. What is a memory pulse? Hale answered quickly. If that weapon activates, every living mind within 5 sectors will forget humanity ever existed. Silence filled every bridge. General Sarek looked horrified. Even now. Hale nodded. It doesn't matter how many people know us. The pulse rewrites memory itself. Corvin whispered. Can it be stopped? Hale finally smiled. Yes. But not by one ship. Captain Hale activated an ancient command console. A golden light spread across the bridge. The AI announced, Fleet Command Authorization accepted. Every human warship immediately responded. Across the gray planet, massive antenna arrays rose from beneath armored hulls. Thousands of hidden systems awakened. The sleeping fleet was becoming something entirely different. Corvin watched the scanners. They aren't charging weapons. No. Captain Hale answered. They're building a shield. Far beneath the planet's surface, gigantic machines began moving for the first time in 8,000 years. Ancient reactors roared back to life. Entire underground cities lit up. Doors that had never opened since the ancient war slowly unlocked. Lyra watched through satellite cameras. She gasped. There are buildings. Then another camera activated. People appeared. Children. Human children. They walked carefully through bright underground streets. None of them looked surprised. Instead, they smiled. One elderly woman looked toward the camera. They finally came back. Lyra felt tears forming in her eyes. They survived. Captain Hale quietly nodded. Sanctuary 9. The last hidden human colony. The underground city stretched for hundreds of kilometers. Forests grew beneath artificial sunlight. Rivers flowed through carefully built valleys. Schools, hospitals, homes. Everything had been preserved. Generation after generation had lived beneath the planet, waiting for one signal. The return of the Valiant. A young human boy looked through a giant observation window. Grandmother, are those the stars? The old woman smiled. Yes. And the ship outside kept its promise. Back on the bridge, the AI interrupted. Captain. Shield network online. 37 human warships projected enormous beams of blue light toward one another. The beams connected, then expanded. Within seconds, an enormous protective sphere surrounded the entire star system. The shield shimmered softly. Admiral Corvin stared in disbelief. It covers the whole system. Captain Hale nodded. It was built to protect life, not to win wars. The Black Scout finally released its weapon. A wave of dark energy exploded outward. It crossed millions of kilometers in seconds. The pulse struck the blue human shield. For one terrifying moment, nothing happened. Then brilliant blue light flooded the system. The shield absorbed everything. The memory pulse disappeared. Every person watching remained exactly as they were. Nobody forgot. Humanity remained real. For the first time in 8,000 years, the Null's greatest weapon had failed. Across the galaxy, billions of citizens watched the battle live. Instead of seeing conquerors, they saw protectors. Ancient human ships had defended alien worlds without asking for anything in return. Fear slowly changed into respect. One by one, messages began arriving at the Valiant. From miners, teachers, doctors, pilots, children. The messages were simple. Thank you. We believe you. We remember. Captain Hale quietly looked at the growing list. His voice almost broke. We're not alone anymore. But the moment of hope lasted only seconds. The AI suddenly spoke again. Its normally calm voice carried something no one had ever heard before. Urgency. Captain, the enemy main fleet has changed course. The holographic star map expanded. Thousands of red lights accelerated together. Something much larger appeared behind them. At first everyone believed it was another fleet. The scanners continued measuring. Longer, wider, bigger, until the final result appeared. The object was larger than a moon. It was not a ship. It was a moving fortress. Its dark surface swallowed the light of nearby stars as it drifted silently toward the galaxy. Captain Hale's face became pale for the first time. He whispered the name that every human had hoped never to hear again. The Oblivion Ark. The AI confirmed it. Primary enemy command vessel has entered the galaxy. And Captain Hale knew one terrible truth. The real war had not begun yet. The bridge of the Valiant fell silent. Every eye remained fixed on the holographic star map. The red symbol representing the Oblivion Arc slowly moved toward the galaxy. It was larger than a moon. Its surface was covered in black armor that absorbed every ray of nearby starlight. No engines were visible. No weapons could be seen. Yet everyone felt its presence. Captain Adrian Hale slowly whispered, "So, you finally came yourself." The ship's AI answered quietly, "Captain, historical records confirm 98% probability. This is the same command vessel that ended the final Void War." Hale closed his eyes for a brief moment. 8,000 years earlier, he had watched the Ark disappear into deep space after humanity sacrificed nearly everything to stop it. He had hoped it would never return. He had been wrong. Across the Galactic Union, emergency broadcasts reached every inhabited world. For the first time in history, governments did not hide the truth. Every citizen saw the enormous black fortress approaching. Schools closed. Trade routes stopped. Military fleets gathered from every corner of known space. Thousands of ships entered hyperspace. Not to fight each other. To stand together. Old enemies flew beside old rivals. Civilizations that had spent centuries arguing now shared supplies and fuel. The galaxy had finally learned the lesson humanity had tried to teach long ago. No one survived alone. Inside the council chamber, High Chancellor Merrick stood before every representative. His voice echoed through the enormous hall. For thousands of years, we believed humanity was only a story. We erased their names. We ignored their sacrifice. He looked toward Captain Hale's image on the giant screen. Today, we ask for forgiveness. The entire chamber stood. One by one, every representative lowered their head. It was not surrender. It was respect. Captain Hale smiled gently. There is nothing to forgive. Everyone looked surprised. Hale continued. Humans never protected the galaxy because we expected thanks. We protected it because it was home. Meanwhile, beneath the gray planet, the hidden human city became alive with activity. Families gathered in public squares. Children watched enormous screens showing the approaching enemy. Many had never seen open space before. One little girl held her grandfather's hand. Are we going to lose again? The old man smiled softly. No. Why? Because this time, the galaxy remembers us. Around them, thousands of humans quietly prepared supplies for the fleets above. Doctors organized medical stations. Engineers repaired ancient equipment. Teachers comforted frightened children. Nobody panicked. They had spent generations preparing for this day. On the bridge of the Valiant, alarms sounded once again. The AI reported, enemy fleet entering weapon range. Captain Hale looked toward Admiral Corvin. Are your fleets ready? Corvin nodded confidently. Every ship in the Union. Every volunteer. They're waiting for your command. Hale looked at the enormous display. More than 12,000 Allied ships now surrounded the human fleet. For the first time, humanity was not standing alone. The dark enemy fleet moved silently. Thousands of black ships formed perfect lines around the Oblivion Arc. Every enemy vessel stopped at exactly the same moment. Captain Hale frowned. They're waiting. For what? Corvin asked. Before Hale could answer, the Ark transmitted a message. The signal reached every ship, every station, every planet. The voice contained no anger, no emotion, only cold certainty. Human civilization detected. Erasure incomplete. Resuming final operation. The transmission ended. Every person listening felt cold. Captain Hale quietly answered, Not today. The Valiant moved forward alone. Its blue engines shined brighter than ever before. The 37 ancient human warships followed behind it. Then the thousands of allied alien ships formed ranks beside them. It was the largest united fleet the galaxy had ever seen. Captain Hale opened every communication channel. His face appeared on millions of screens. He spoke calmly. Today is not about revenge. It is not about history. It is not about proving who was stronger. He looked toward the approaching darkness. It is about making sure every child in this galaxy has a tomorrow. His final words spread across every star system. Stand together. The entire fleet accelerated. The battle began. Blue beams crossed the darkness. Golden shields surrounded Allied ships. Missiles raced toward enemy formations. The Black Fleet answered with waves of dark energy. Stars seemed to shake as enormous explosions filled space. Human warships protected smaller vessels instead of hiding behind them. Whenever an Allied ship lost power, a human vessel moved into its place. Whenever civilians needed evacuation, alien fleets covered the human rescue ships. No one fought for themselves. They fought for each other. The lesson humanity had carried for thousands of years had finally become reality. The Oblivion arc continued moving. Nothing slowed it. Not missiles. Not railguns. Not plasma cannons. Captain Hale knew only one option remained. He quietly looked toward the AI. Prepare Protocol Dawn. The AI became silent. Finally it answered. Captain. Success probability. 6%. Hale smiled. Better than 0. The AI understood. Every human ship immediately changed formation. 37 ancient vessels surrounded the Ark from every direction. Their reactors released streams of brilliant blue energy. The light connected into one enormous circle. The Ark finally stopped moving. Its dark armor began cracking. For the first time, the impossible fortress showed damage. Captain Hale whispered, "Now." Every Allied fleet fired together. Thousands of beams struck the weakened Ark at the exact same second. The darkness shattered. A brilliant white light filled the battlefield. For several long moments, no one could see anything. When the light faded, the Ark was gone. The black enemy fleet disappeared with it. One by one, the remaining dark ships shut down and drifted silently through space. The war was over. 8,000 years of waiting had finally ended. Cheers erupted across every communication channel. People laughed. Some cried. Others simply stared at the stars in disbelief. Weeks later, peace returned. The Galactic Archive reopened every hidden record. Human history was restored. Ultra-hyperrealistic cinematic sci-fi scene inside a massive galactic council chamber overlooking deep space through an enormous panoramic window. Hundreds of alien delegates from dozens of unique species stand in shock as a colossal human battle fleet suddenly emerges outside the station, filling space with gigantic dreadnoughts, carriers, cruisers, destroyers, and escort ships in perfect military formation. The flagship dominates the view with glowing blue engines, layered armor, heavy railguns, missile batteries, and illuminated command decks. Orange holographic emergency warning panels flash throughout the chamber while council members point toward the fleet in disbelief. The atmosphere is tense, dramatic, and silent before war. The architecture is sleek, futuristic, and incredibly detailed with curved metallic balconies, transparent floors, holographic displays, towering ceilings, and cinematic lighting. Volumetric light rays stream through the glass, reflecting across polished metal surfaces. Deep starfields, colorful nebulae, distant galaxies, and countless warships create immense scale beyond the window. The composition closely matches the reference image, but with greater depth, sharper focus, richer contrast, enhanced reflections, realistic shadows, ultra-detailed textures, and IMAX-quality visual storytelling. Photorealistic, Hollywood blockbuster style, Unreal Engine 5, 16K, HDR, ray tracing, physically accurate lighting, global illumination, atmospheric perspective, extreme detail, masterpiece, award-winning sci-fi concept art, epic scale, no text, no watermark, no logo, no blur, no cartoon, no low quality.